Hello guys, welcome to Jeff's Garage Adventures. You like tools? This is your channel. I do lots and lots of tool reviews, mostly middle of the road. I also do some low and high end as well, and occasionally some car tech tips and repairs. Before we get in today's video, I had a giveaway yesterday. His name was Sam, his handle was Sam Lee 458. He had 6 prizes to pick from. He picked the Milwaukee M12 drill. I'm going to give him this with a battery, charger pack, and a bag. Nice choice, Sam. I have giveaways every other week. That was winner number 63. I got one. Next week's giveaway will be my 12,000 subscriber giveaway. We're not quite there yet, but we're getting close. We're going to have 2 winners, guys. I don't give away junk on this channel. Spread the word. I don't give away junk. The CP90s with the comfort grip, 3-piece set, 1/2 inch, 3/8, and 1/4 inch respectively. That's first prize. 2 winners next week, guys. The second prize is going to be this Icon Ratchet, Gen 2, the one we're doing a review on. I got a few more of these coming. These are hard to get in the store. I had to buy it online. They're never in stock so far. Everybody's been buying them as soon as they hit the shelf. That's second prize. So there'll be 2 winners in the next giveaway, which will be my 12K giveaway. We're getting close to 12K, so I might as well do it in next week's video. What do we got here today? Icon is in the house. Gen 2 versus Gen 1. 3/8 drive flex head ratchets. Let's pick up the Gen 1 here first. They're both 14 inches long. The Gen 1 is a 90 tooth, and the Gen 2 is an 80 tooth. We're going to put a caliper on these in a second, but you can tell right away the Gen 2 is a big improvement. Look how low profile the head is. A lot smaller. And it's got a lock. And the Gen 1 doesn't have a lock or a detent ball. They're about the same length. They even changed the handle, so they changed quite a bit. Pick up a Gen 1 here first, and we're going to, let's put a caliper on these right now. Put a caliper on we're going to look inside too, guys, so don't go anywhere. The Gen 1 here, I'm going to put it on millimeters. Some guys ask me why I do that. It's easier to read. It's easier to decipher, kind of like, 34.31. 34.31, it's 0. 34.31, let's see what the Icon 2 is. Just under 31, so that's 3 millimeters smaller. That's quite a bit, guys. So the Gen 2 it's got to be quite a bit that way. You can see it there. Just a quick little reference here. Here's a snap-on here. Who are they trying to copy, guys? You tell me. And stick around for tomorrow's video. We're going to see if we can swap out the snap-on with the Gen 2 Icon. You're not going to want to miss that video. Look at, they look pretty close there. Okay, that's tomorrow's video. So we measured that. Let's measure the other way here. Put it on 0. Here's the Gen 2, just under 15. Here's the Gen 1, just over 15. I don't think I did that right. Let me do that again. Hold on. Here's the Gen 1, 15. Gen 2, just under 15. So a Gen 2 is still smaller, but not by much, that way. Okay, but this way quite a bit, over 3 millimeters. So that's kind of interesting. All right, now let's look at the handles here. The handle on a Gen 1 is a harder rubber, guys. The black's real hard, and the red it's not that soft. It's pretty hard as well. Where the Gen 2's, the red's hard, like the black is on the Gen 1, but the black rubber is a lot softer on the Gen 2s. I like these handles a lot better. And you can also see they have the treads on them right here, which is pretty good on both sides. So that's an improvement for grip. Does feel pretty good in my hand. I got small hands, by the way. Let's put a caliper on the Icon, how thick the grip is. This is interesting as well, I thought. So let's put a caliper on there. It's on 0. The Icon, I'll try to put it in the middle here. You're kind of guessing a little bit, but 25.32. 25.32, and the Gen 2 is 28.34, so it's 3 millimeters wider. So the Gen 2 grips are quite a bit wider as well, guys. You can see it there pretty good. I like that. More meat on the grip. I like that. How much play was in the Gen 2 flex this way? pretty tight. I don't see a lot of play in it. That's good. The Gen 1, I can't move that as well. The Gen 1, obviously, there's no detent or lock. The Gen 2 has got the lock, which I really like. You can use it as unlocked, which I like, and you can use it locked, which is a definitely advantage over the Gen 1. How much play is in it when it's locked? There is some play, but usually that type of lock, there's going to be some play. That's about what I always see in my Mako and my gear wrench. What I like about this type of lock is, unlike the Capri extra long ones they got there, the CP90s, they got a spring-loaded lock, so you can only use them in a locked position, whereas this type you can use unlocked or locked, so that's why I like that type better. Okay, so now we're going to go inside here. This is interesting as well. You got 80 tooth versus 90 tooth. Another thing I want to say is they're both sealed heads, is that the Gen 2 didn't come with a lot of lube. You're going to want to put some lube in there. But guess what, guys? They put a lot of Loctite in those screws. So be very careful, because I bent two T9, or two, I think it's T8. No, it might be, yeah. I bent two T9 screws, or Torx bits, like this. I bent two of them. I ended up having to heat this a little bit with a lighter, maybe 10 seconds in each screw to get it out. They come out hard. So keep that in mind, guys. You don't want to strip those out. Somebody's going to ask, are they interchangeable? I'm going to show you. One's 90, one's 80, but that's not the only deciding factor, usually, right? All right, I got the screws out in that one. This is a different size. The Gen 1s are a T8. The Gen 1s didn't have any Loctite on them. The Gen 2s, I'll show you a lot, and boy, it came off hard. Like I said, I had to heat them. Here's the screws to the Gen 1. I can pick it up in the camera for you. If you look at the screw, it's loaded with Loctite all the way up, all the threads. The Gen 1, I don't think it had any Loctite on it. I thought it had maybe blue, but no. Here's the Gen 1 screws, nothing. So keep that in mind when you pull that faceplate off. You may have to heat it a little bit. Just be careful, don't get it too hot either. You don't want to do any damage, but I don't think you will. There's only one O-ring in there. Let's pull off the faceplates. I always use a magnet here. We got the Gen 1 on the right and the Gen 2 on the left. Here's the faceplates. You can see it. Sealed head ratchet. That's the Gen 2, and they're both sealed, but do not immerse in fluids. That's the Gen 1, 90 tooth. That one says on it. And the thing about this is, another thing is, there's only one. There is an O-ring inside the. Let's get this down here so you can see it. There is an O-ring inside the Gen 2, and there's none in the Gen 1. So that's an improvement as well. Let's pull out the gear in the Gen 2 here. Here's the Gen 2 gear. This is 80 tooth. I don't know if you can pick up. I'm trying to pick up the O-ring for you. If we can get it in here for you. Hold on. Yeah, if we can see it there. I'm trying to keep it in focus. There's an O-ring. See the O-ring pop up? You can see it there pop up. So there is one O-ring inside the Gen 2. There is none in the Gen 1, so that's an improvement. I wish there was one. A lot of ratchets, higher end ratchets, they'll have an O-ring behind the faceplate as well. Neither of these do. All right, let's pull out the gear in the Gen 1. Here's the gear in the Gen 1, and there is no O-ring, guys, at all. I mean, there could be one in the selector switch, I don't know. I'm not going to go that deep. The video's going to be long enough. No O-ring in a Gen 1. Whereas the Gen 2, obviously, like I just showed you, had an O-ring. The gears are interesting too. The Gen 1 gear, the 90 tooth is a lot wider. You can see it there, how much wider it is. See how much wider it is? The Gen 2 isn't as wide, but it's got that step in there. See the step? And that's milled in the case as well. But the Gen 2 is bigger in diameter. Even though it's a lower profile ratchet, it's bigger in diameter. So I thought that was interesting. You can see it there. It's bigger in diameter. And a Gen 2 inside the ratchet, you can see there where my thumb is. That's milled out in the case. So let's show the pawls next. These gears are not interchangeable because the Gen 2 is too big in diameter, and it's got that step. There's the paws. I call it split paw, but it's not really a split paw like a snap-on per se. And it's got 7-tooth engagement. You can see the 7 on the left, 7 on the right. And the paws in the Gen 1, they don't call it split. It's just basically one jaw. And I don't know if that's 7. It might be 7 as well. I can't count them. I'm blind. But that's the Gen 1. Let's put them side by side here. The Gen 2 is on top of the Gen 1. If you can see them there. And let's put them like this. Hopefully I don't drop them. Or I almost did drop it. Did you see that? I caught it. Good catch, Jeff. There you go. The one on the left is the Gen 2, where they call it a split paw. See it? The one on the right is the Gen 1. That's interesting. So you cannot swap out the internals because the Gen 2, I'll put a caliper on it. The Gen 2 is bigger diameter, but not as thick. But it is as thick as, if you add the step in it, it's the same thickness. Here's the Gen 2, 23.88. The Gen 1, 23.88. You see, it's just a tabular on 23 mil. So it's almost a millimeter bigger in diameter, the Gen 1, or a Gen 2. So that's why it's not going to fit the Gen 1. But it's got that step in there. The step in there makes up for the spacing, I think, with how thick the gear is. Again, you can see it right there. The Gen 1 is really, see how much higher it is? So the Gen 1 gear is thicker, but smaller in diameter. That's crazy, hey? So they're not interchangeable. You put the Gen 1 in the Gen 2 casing, it's too loose. There you go. There's the casings. Let me do that if I can, though. You got a minute? Oh, let me put the Gen. I'm going to put the Gen 1 in a Gen 2. Yeah, I already got it in there. It goes in too easy. See? It spins both ways. It's too small. It's too small in diameter. So they're not interchangeable. Someone's going to ask me that. No, they're not. So my overall thoughts are, it's definitely an improvement over the Gen 1, but it's up to you. Is it worth the extra $15? I think it is. Only time will tell when I use these. I use that new ratchet. Again, I'm going to be giving one away along with those CP90s next week, so stay tuned for that. But pretty interesting video. I try not to make it so long, but I kind of got into the details, didn't I? All right, guys. Stay safe and have a great weekend.